before we get started, I just wanted to share this. I've been doing these meditations for the last 2 weeks. They are incredible. I just wanted to share this. I've been doing these meditations for the last 2 weeks. They are incredible. Can you hear me? I have a second window. I have a second screen open so I can look at chat. I have a second window. I have a second screen open so I can look at chat. I want to look at some Ryo.
What is Ryo's understanding?
I'd like to look at some Ryo or Ryok. I would like to look at some Ryo clips before we actually look at the Bashar stuff, because these ones are actually pretty incredible. If you get a chance, watch them without me talking, but the stuff he talks about is amazing. So.
Understanding of what humans refer to as demonic beings. Are they fallen angels or something else?
There are a few different things that are referenced here. So what you call negative entities or demonic forces are actually negative thought forms that for the most part are generated by human beings that in a sense extend their existence through consuming negative energy.
He's another
that people
Essassani.
create. So most negative entities
Same race as
are
Bashar.
negative thought forms that people, humans, have given rise to. And these things become, let's just say, so filled with negative energy that they're able to use it as a fuel source to sustain themselves past the existence of the individual that gave rise to them. That's one expression of a negative entity. There are other expressions of negative entities that can relate to the idea of different extraterrestrial species that during more ancient times interacted with your people and perhaps, let's just say, interacted in ways that were either more negative or at least in ways that activated your species' fight or flight response.
So this is something I've been saying for a while to people in my daily life when they talk about demons or angels. A lot of times the interactions that people have with ETs were actually just like when they, like if you look at the Bible, when they talk about the demon or the angel, more times than not they were probably just an ET that, because they didn't understand that there were beings from another world. Tyler Ellison.
System. So some of you associate demonic ideas with these types of beings. That's another connection to the concept that exists. And there are others as well. For some schools of thought simply see demons as other frequencies of consciousness that are nothing more than just energies that can be utilized for all types of different purposes. So there's many different ways to observe these types of beings, and it's not as if just one way is correct.
Videos.
It's all about using the definitions that work for you and support you in your journey. But this is a little bit on those beings and how different cultures and different peoples have understood them. To all of us, the Essassani, we see many perspectives as being accurate depictions of demonic forces. For example, we have observed what people have called demons being nothing more than, again, negative thought forms. We have also observed people calling extraterrestrials demons. So we see all of them, in fact, as being somewhat accurate because we've seen them all play out in different ways. We've seen them all be experienced as real by different people on your world. But fundamentally, these things are nothing more than just energies. They're just expressing what you would consider to be more of the negative polarity, more of the darker polarity. That's all.
Make sure you like and subscribe as well as comment.
Consciousness that, in a sense, are representing the darker dimensions of creation. They're reflecting back to you all your own shadows, So you can see your own shadow qualities personified by these beings. So you can relate to them through these beings. So you can ultimately understand those shadow qualities within yourselves, thus allowing for you to more easily transform them. So through shining light onto these qualities, which these demonic forces can assist with, you can understand more of your own shadow. And that's a way you can relate to them positively, if, of course, you desire to do so.
Is it possible to know it all if existence is infinite?
You will never know it all as an extension of creation, because creation itself is infinite.
If you're wondering why I'm doing these couple videos before I get into the Bashar session, is I thought they were kind of important things to know.
Therefore, there will always be more for you to learn. There will always be more for you to experience. The only
Sounds good, man.
you truly know it all is the perspective of all that is. When you're at that level, then you know it all, because you literally are everything. You are the finite and you are the infinite paradoxically. And then when you shift even higher to the level of the one, which has no experience, you ironically know nothing. Because that is, in many ways,
the thing I like about his information, unlike Bashar, which I find a lot of times can be very, very broad, he gives very specific information, which is pretty helpful.
Energies of source, knowing it all, containing it all, knowing nothing, containing nothing, coming together in many ways to create all that is. So understand, as long as you are a part of all that is, you can never really know it all in that way. When you raise your frequency to be all that is, you can, in that sense, know it all in different ways. And
well, typically what demons actually are is, one, it's your belief system, and the demons that you're dealing with inside you usually are negative beliefs. The physical beings that they talk about in the Bible or they talk about in myth are usually actually ETs. It's actually the more simple explanation compared to what they talk about in the Bible. It's less myth and more realistic to how things show up.
These are certain perspectives that may be useful in relationship to understanding how to experience deeper levels of learning, how to expand one's reservoir of knowledge. But remember, you don't need to really know it all. Really, all that's required is to know that which is essential, which is to ultimately know yourself. Because if you know yourself truly, then you know how to create the reality of your preference. You know how to be the version of yourself that you prefer to be. And ironically, because you are both all that is and the one, you can never really fully know yourself.
Tyler also does a once a month live stream for free on his YouTube channel, as well as paid sessions. But usually the once a month for free has it's good in the sense that he puts out some information, but he doesn't give out the more specific information unless you go to like the paid session, which is like $35.
Self, because there will always be that level of yourself that's resonant with the one that knows nothing. So it is that blend of knowing it all and knowing nothing that actually creates your experience of infinity. That blending of energies creates the infinite, because it is the one that in many ways allows for the idea of the mystery to be present.
Well, the humans who do channel the Esasani are actually essentially their past incarnations, which are the ones that we get like Ryo, Bashar, Shale, and a lot of other ones that have come through over the years are essentially their past incarnation, because they share that resonant signature or a similar frequency to each other. They act like long distance telephones.
The idea of expansion, the idea of experiencing more, the idea of novelty, the idea of discovery comes from that level.
not say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all?
Bashar could be loud.
All right. All right, first and foremost, we thank each and every one of you individually and all of you together collectively for the co-creation of this interaction and the allowance of this transmission in this way. Each and every time you allow us to interact with your civilization like this, it affords us an opportunity to learn that many more perspectives within the multidimensional crystal of all that is. So we thank you for the gift of your sharing. We would like to begin this transmission.
I feel like it's important to actually go back and look at these old transmissions. Considering the new information that's been coming through, it's important to look at these old ones to kind of have a fresh perspective on what he was teaching then.
With the following idea: using the tools. We have, over time, for the past 30 of your years, shared with you many ideas, many tools that you can use based on the nature of, the structure of existence. And these tools, when used in alignment with the nature and structure of existence, will allow you more conscious manifestation, more conscious.
I personally think it's a much more honest to God, actual, reasonable explanation than demonic entities. A lot of times, unless you're actually resonating with the either an ET or a negative entity of some sort, usually you're not going to be able to interact with them.
Awareness of the fact that you are creating your reality, more conscious control over exactly how to allow yourself to align with the flow of creation in order to experience your physical lives in the most joyful way possible, in the most harmonious way possible. However, sometimes in our interactions with many of you, we realize that while you may have in your minds the information of the tools we have shared.
Also, recently, I've been actually going back over a lot of old information, because I've been working on a few videos, big videos I'm going to put out here on my channel pretty quick, that talk about the information that he brings through. And I'm going to, it's taking it from a couple different points of view, not just Bashar or Daryl or one teacher specifically, but they're all saying about the same thing. Each video will be on one particular subject. I'm going to use Daryl's information, but it's going to be backed up by a lot of other people and me.
Shared with you. It is a very different thing to have the information, to know the information from the actual application of the information in your reality. It is important always that the application of these tools, these ideas, these concepts that we and others similar to us share with all of you at this time be actually grounded in your physical reality through action, through actual physical application, because in creating a physical experience, you yourselves are saying that you want to have an experience of a process that allows you to discover new aspects, new perspectives of yourself.
I'm pretty sure that's his only job right now. I know he was in the film industry for a lot of years, and those events that he ran for a lot of years costed a lot to actually put on.
And in so doing, you will allow yourself to know that your physical experience is the expression of your spirit, expression of your soul's journey, the expression of your spiritual investigation.
And trust me, I had such a hard time paying for the information for so many years that I couldn't, especially when I was really, really broke back in the day. It was hard to justify paying like $25-$30 consistently. The information that I've gotten from actually listening to this stuff over the years has improved my life greatly.
Of yourself. And so physical action acts like a commitment.
Also, I don't mind supporting the information that I like listening to.
like a grounding, like a connection that demonstrates that you know you are in alignment with creation, reflects too.
Yeah, he actually says it in another transmission that I have from him from like a couple of years ago. It's the one entitled Children of the Future. It's your future self actually pulling you forward into like a future version of yourself that you want to be, or you could actually that you want to experience. So you're using the version of them to actually pull you forward. And he talks about it here as far as your physical action.
Creation, that you are willing to align with it. It is all well and good to keep these ideas.
Also, I actually have channeled my future self a few times. A version of me that's like 75 years old and still appears to be pretty young.
Ideas in your head, all well and good to understand the information intellectually. But it is a very different thing, and you create a very different effect in your life when you actually learn how to appropriately apply these tools in your physical reality. We have talked about many tools, such as the understanding of what we call the 5 laws of existence, and the understanding of the tool of acting on your highest excitement, that 3-part formula that allows for excitement to begin to open up and function synchronistically in your life as a complete kit. The idea of the 5 laws is simply that you exist, which means that if you exist now, you always will. You may change form, but you will always exist. Your point of view is unique and will always exist, because if you didn't exist, all that is would not be all that it could be. So you are valuable, you are worthy, you are deserving of that existence.
I'll do Children of the Future in a future live stream in the next few weeks.
And to go into states of unworthiness, lack of deservability, in essence, is to argue with creation about your value. Please believe us. If you were not absolutely crucial to the idea of all that is being all that is, you would not exist. It doesn't make mistakes, so you cannot be a mistake in any way, shape, or form. Thus, when you allow yourself to stop arguing with creation about your worth and start aligning with the idea that you are in existence for a reason, then you can experience that existence more in alignment with creation, with the flow of creation, and allow yourself the benefit of that relationship, of that positively oriented relationship with creation. Law number 2 is simply that everything is here and now. That time and space, in a sense, are your projections, your illusions that allow you to experience the process of discovering yourself from another point of view. The third law is that the one is all, the all are one, which means that separation is an illusion as well. Everything is the same
Absolutely.
one thing from a different point of view. So you are all that is, experiencing itself as an aspect of itself, as another point of view of itself, as another perspective of itself, so that it can experience itself from all the possible perspectives that it can, and know and discover itself in that way. Because you see, the structure itself never really changes. But your experience of it, your point of view of it, does. And that's what expands creation. The fourth law is what you put out is what you get back, which simply means whatever frequency you operate on, whatever definitions you hold to be true, generate a particular energetic vibration that you radiate. And because physical reality is just an illusion, is really nothing more than a mirror, it reflects back to you the ideas that you are giving off, the beliefs that you are holding to be true.
The video that I'm working on right now is actually exactly on this principle.
And so when you experience your physical reality, if you find that it requires, in your opinion, some adjustment, the first thing to adjust is the definitions within you, because the definitions, what you believe to be true, what you define to be true, are the fundamental foundation of your experience of physical reality, and everything is built upon that. Emotions and feelings stem from something you believe to be true. You cannot have an emotion or a feeling about anything unless you...
Very true. That's actually kind of why I'm taking the old sessions that have been out there for a few years and they are not exactly relevant anymore. And I'm actually going to start streaming like this in more of a react and kind of discuss sort of way.
You have a definition of that thing first. So when you have emotions, when you have thoughts, when you have behaviors that you believe are out of alignment with who you prefer to be, you can trace those behaviors and trace those thoughts and trace those feelings back to what kind of a definition would...
If you want to see a particular transmission, make sure you comment and actually I'll see if I have it and we can live stream it and I can share it this way and we can actually discuss it as well.
Have to exist in order to generate those kinds of feelings, those kinds of thoughts, those kinds of behaviors, and the consequential experience that stems therefrom. It all begins with the foundational belief and definition in much the same way that building a house has to begin with a foundation, and everything else is on top of that. The emotions being the builders of the house, the thoughts being the building materials of the house, behaviors being how you find living in that house, the quality of life in that house. So if you find that the house is a little bit stifling, if you find that it is falling apart, if you find in that sense that it's not being built in the way that you would prefer, go back to the blueprint, go back to the foundation, make the adjustments there, and everything else will follow suit. The fifth law is that everything changes except the first four laws. So things will always change, as we said. You will always be discovering a new idea, a new point of view, a new perspective of yourself. That's how...
I just want to help people. That's kind of what I want to do with my life, is I really just want to help people. I've done a lot of jobs in my life, and I found the one thing I want to do out of everything in my life is just to be able to help people.
Creation expands, and that's the nature of it. The idea of your excitement is simply that what you call joy, what you call excitement, what you call passion, what you call happiness and creativity and love and peace and balance are your physical body's way of translating the frequency that is your true signature vibration, the core essence of your being. So anytime you're willing to use the three-part formula of acting on your excitement, you will be harmoniously aligned with the core nature of your being. And thus you will flow easily and not experience resistance in your life. The three-part formula is as follows: to act at every given moment that you can on the thing that contains the highest amount of excitement. Number two, to the best of your ability, taking it as far as you can until you can take it no further. Number three, with absolutely zero insistence or assumption as to what the outcome ought to look like or how you should get there, because your physical mind has absolutely no way of knowing how it's actually really going to happen. So as long as you allow your physical mind to believe that it's in charge of knowing how something is supposed to happen, you're going to be fighting an uphill battle. Because your physical mind is not designed to know how something is actually going to happen. Your physical mind is only designed to know what's happening right now, to experience it. That's what it's for. But the higher mind knows, the non-physical aspect of your being called the higher mind, the soul, the spirit, that knows how something can best happen to align with the theme you chose to explore in this life as a physical being. So let the higher mind do its job, let the physical mind do its job, let them work together in concert by following the formula of excitement that will allow you to experience excitement as the complete kit of tools that you need in your life.
The other realization I've actually had recently, instead of trying to fight people on the internet when they say you're wrong or the information you're sharing is wrong, I've started realizing that when they're triggered, the thing I've started asking them is, what part of what I said is triggering inside of you, and why is the anger coming up in this moment for you when I share the information? I think it's funny because a lot of times most people are unconscious and can't actually say it out loud or are unwilling to look at it themselves.
And what we mean by that is as follows. When you act on this formula every moment that you can, you are aligning like a compass needle to your true magnetic north, and that acts as a key to unlock the tools in the kit of excitement. And those tools essentially are this. You start to experience excitement in your life when you follow the formula as the driving engine of your life, the motivating force in your life. You experience it as the organizing principle of your life. You experience more synchronicity that brings things to you at exactly the right moment, the right place, the right time, with whom you exactly need to experience it with. It is the path of least resistance in your life. Because when you clear yourself of definitions that don't align with your true being, then you experience no resistance. You flow, glide effortlessly and smoothly and joyfully through life. It is the thread that connects to all other expressions of excitement in your life, because your excitement can be expressed in many different ways. And excitement and acting on it, whatever contains the highest amount of it at any given moment, lets you know that even though on the surface it may not seem to be connected to anything else you did that contained excitement, the excitement tells you that it is connected, not how it looks on the surface. You have a saying on your planet, don't judge a book by its cover. This is how it works. Follow the thread of excitement in something. Don't gauge that it's connected to other things by how it looks, because excitement can come in many forms, and it will take the path of least resistance to you to allow you to continue on that path of excitement.
I have had this happen in my life so many times on days where I decide to just follow my excitement and just kind of like not really have a complete plan for the day. I had a day where I ended up going to a concert.
And sometimes that path of least resistance
accidentally was in a Nike commercial here where I live. Had some of the best food. Accidentally discovered a restaurant that I absolutely love now. Also, I have just had the most random, amazing days when I've just been working on random things or just decided to go out of the house and have an adventure and literally just say, I'm going to turn this direction or I'm going to turn that direction. And I end up walking into some of the most incredible things just because I literally just followed the excitement like he's talking about.
Has to look very different than the path it took before, but it will find you. It's like electricity. It's like water. It will find you as long as you are open to allowing it to come along the path of least resistance and don't insist that it must come in a certain way. That's your ego talking. That's your physical mind thinking it knows best. It does not. But when it works in concert with the higher mind, then you function as a whole person and can experience life in a more holistic way instead of a segregated experience of details and compartmentalizations that makes it seem to be a very difficult thing to put that picture back together. Let yourself open up to the holistic idea that your higher mind will guide you like someone on a mountaintop who can see down and easily see the path you are walking through life and is telling you, go left, go right, go left, go straight, go left, go right.
It really does work this way.
Mind in ignoring that will constantly fall into a bunch of holes or off a cliff. But when you pay attention to the higher mind's messages that come through synchronicity or by whatever method they may come, then you find that you are guided unerringly in the direction of the things you really want to experience that will allow you to become who you truly know yourself to be, allow you to experience more of your greater being, and allow you to function more holistically as a whole person. When you only rely on the physical mind's guidance in physical reality, you're only functioning as half a person, and that simply makes you, for lack of a better term, a half-wit.
Really going back and listening to this stuff and being where I am now, where I actually understand what he's saying. Yeah, it really is true.
The other component of excitement, when you allow excitement to act as a complete kit, is that it acts as the reflecting mirror that reveals to you, in a variety of ways, the things within your unconscious mind that might actually be out of alignment with your true self, so that you can identify them, integrate them, bring them back into alignment, and expand your excitement in that way. So it is a very powerful kit that contains everything you need. It is complete, and that means by definition it leaves nothing out. Nothing at all. So when you understand the kit, when you understand the formula, when you understand the laws, when you understand how to look at creation and see the actual nature of it, the actual structure of it, you'll be able to use it
Welcome,
to
by
your
the way.
advantage, to your benefit, differently than you're using it now. You do use it now, but if you're finding that there are things in your life that you don't prefer, it's simply that you are putting information into the mechanism that is negative because of the definitions you're holding on to, and so the mechanism can do nothing but give you a reflection of that negativity. It doesn't care what you choose. It is absolutely unbiased.
Nope.
It is completely and absolutely and totally balanced and fair.
Honestly, the more you just kind of act on it, it really just spits your life into incredible, like, synchronistic fun events. I've had this happen a lot of times in my life, and I love having days where I just kind of do this.
If you decide that you're going to have a negative belief system, the mechanism...
Also, you can define, I like to pay my bills as excitement. Like, even if you don't always like your job, you can actually define what you're doing as something that you're excited to do, like pay your bills or eat. I'm excited to do those things.
of creation simply says, okay, and reflects that to you. If you decide you're going to have a positive belief system, the mechanism of creation says, okay, and reflects that to you. It doesn't care what you choose. It doesn't have a mind of its own. It was designed to be completely and utterly neutral so that you could give life meaning. Without you giving life meaning, life has no automatic built-in meaning.
Nope.
The circumstances and situations you experience are simply neutral events, neutral props. You have the power. You've been given the free will. You've been given the ability to insert the meaning you believe is most true for you, and regardless of anyone else's intention in that circumstance, regardless of how that situation or circumstance might have initially been generated from a negative energy, you still have at every single moment the opportunity to completely neutralize that situation for yourself and determine that it is only positive
How's the mic?
for you so that you can get a positive beneficial effect from it. Please understand that everything we're telling you here is just simple physics. That's all this is. It's just vibrations, it's resonance, it's energy physics. That's all it is. It's very basic, it's very simple. Yes, we understand that creation is richly complex, but it's not complicated. At its core, it is very, very simple. So in our discussions back and forth, this day of your time in this transmission, please do your best to keep in mind that these are the tools that will help you sail through life and expand your consciousness and expand your experience in positive and beneficial, constructive and creative, loving and joyful ways, and allow yourself to gain whatever clarity it is important for you to gain to apply these tools cleanly, precisely, impeccably in your lives so that you can get the response, get the effect, and have the experience that you know in your heart of hearts would be reflective of who you know yourselves to truly be. Does that make sense?
So I will say also this much. I did a session with Ryo about a year ago, and one of the questions I asked him was, do I actually have counterparts inside the Sasani civilization? And he goes, you have 4. I thought that was pretty cool. And when I heard Bashar for the first time, or I did a lot of deprogramming after listening to for a while, his stuff actually makes a lot of sense if you think from a very practical point of view.
All right. Then, in return for the gift you are giving us, in allowing us to experience you this way, I ask in return, in what way may we now be of service to you with your questions and comments?
I've also been able to carry over a lot of the abilities that that version or that counterpart actually has into my physical life.
You may begin.
Hello, Bashar.
And you good day.
Shavai.
Shivai.
First, I'd like to start with a statement.
Oh, all right.
It's very exciting,
Yes.
and was in Los Angeles for Amazing Life and the Passion Principle,
Yes.
and experienced a lot of synchronicity.
All right, thank you.
Met the love of my life at that event.
All
And,
right.
It was very synchronistic when you look at the name and so forth, and we've been having amazing synchronicities in our experience together. I'd like to share a little bit about that, and then
Very briefly.
So, one of the abilities that was carried over from the counterpart I have in the Sasani civilization is he has the ability to travel into other dimensions very easily, into physical and non-physical realms, as well as... So one of the abilities that I've been able to cultivate and that has carried over to me is I'm able to splinter off my consciousness simultaneously into different realms, and I also travel into different realms. Even if I'm sitting there talking to someone, I also can experience other realities simultaneously. Because I know that's also a game Bashar said in their civilization they do when they're young, is they pick a number of realities to go into, parallel realities, and then they just bring back the information. So that's one of the abilities that's carried over into this life.
one of the beautiful things that was experiencing is that we shared an experience of telepathic communication.
Yes.
Also, the other one is telepathic communication is much more natural to me than actually speaking like this.
And
Which is simply being on the same wavelength at the same time and having the same thoughts at the same time.
it was very interesting because
Yes.
I would think a thought she would
Easily.
answer my questions
Yes.
without me.
That's how it works.
Yeah, it was beautiful. And,
That's why people in love often know what each other is thinking, because they're having the same thoughts at the same time, because they operate on a similar wavelength. Telepathy is not actually reading each other's mind, it's simply mirroring each other.
Also, I can feel my counterpart in that exists alongside Bashar. I can feel him peering through my eyes pretty often, as well as I can feel other counterparts that I have in other time periods. Some that are in our future, a lot that are in our past, but also ones that exist simultaneously with this here and now.
So it gave me a glimpse a little bit into the excitement that you live in your daily life,
Constantly.
and gave me a taste of that. and
Yes.
It's pretty yummy.
Tastes pretty good, yes?
It's very, very yummy.
All right.
So I'm looking forward to more.
It's
of that.
delicious.
All right, if you wish.
And I would like to know, I was just curious in this relationship if we actually share the same oversoul.
Not going to tell you that. You have some things to explore before you get to the point of investigating those kinds of ideas for now. You're going through a particular beginning process that will enrich itself in a variety of ways, and right now that information will not necessarily be a benefit to you.
The only part that is truly amazing about it is more people can't do it, or more people choose not to do it because they've been programmed a certain way.
Okay,
All right.
fair enough. And the other thing is, about a month ago during a healing, I received a message that I'd be here today and that Bashar would have a message for me. Not sure what that message would be. I'm just wondering.
Well, I
if there-
guess you may find out in the course of this interaction.
Okay.
Do you trust your synchronicity?
Oh, absolutely.
Well then, remember this. Remember this. Remember, all of you, this. We are always sending everything we possibly can. It's not about needing to ask us to give you more messages than we're already delivering, because we're already sending you every single wavelength, every single bit of information, every single piece of energy we are allowed to send you. So it's not about that you're not getting it from us. If you're not perceiving it, then it's either simply not time to perceive it, or you're doing something to shut it off. So the idea is the more you open up, the more you will perceive what is already being transmitted, and then you will experience the reception of it. But you never have to ask us to give you special messages, ask us for more than we are giving, and we're not just talking about ourselves. This goes for the idea.
This goes into the idea that limitations can actually be used in a positive way.
Of the spirit guides, other dimensional beings, angelic realms. You are always being given. It is always being flowed to you from source. Nothing is ever withheld from you from anywhere else. Anything being withheld is being withheld by you. Now, that can be for a positive reason or a negative reason. Sometimes it's just not the right timing for you to receive something. But if it is, and you're simply open to it and willing to align with yourself and raise your frequency.
If you really think about it, if you got all the information right away that you could potentially ever need or want, if you're not ready for it, it makes no sense to give you something that you're not ready for, frankly.
Then it's not possible to miss any information you need to receive. The paradox is that the only way to miss that information is to spend time and energy wondering if you're going to miss that information. But if you don't spend your time and energy that way and just get on about living your life in the most ecstatic way you can, then it's not possible for you to miss the information you need. But it will not come a moment before you need it, and it will not come a moment after. It will come precisely when you need it. And that's the message.
And the moment you get it is exactly when it needs to show up. Like if you didn't show up right then and there, like when you were hoping it would show up, it didn't need to really show up.
We have for you.
So I'm trusting I'm not missing out on anything. So
Not possible unless you spend time worrying that you will.
and
Nope.
I don't. So
All
it's
right
good.
then. Enjoy.
I had a question. Hopefully you could share some information.
Hopefully.
I am counting on that you're going to share some information with me, and
I just did.
I know this is in regards to John the Baptist,
Yes.
and I'm aware of a connection with that energy, and I was just wondering
Yes.
if you could share a little bit information about that.
Take what that particular individual represents as the idea of preparing a path, and allow yourself to see in your own life and the things that you choose that every choice you make will affect the path that you choose to be. Remember that you're not on a path, you are a path. And so the idea of John the Baptist, vibrationally speaking, is really not so much the idea of the preparing of a path, but truly being the path that you chose to be. Yes?
Yes.
All right.
I had one last question.
Nope.
By the way, if you want to comment something in the chat, I am watching it on another screen, so there's a slight time delay.
No?
Nope.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. You will get your answer from another.
Thank you.
Sure. Hello, Bashar.
I knew you. Good day.
Yes.
Speak up and be bold so that all may hear what you have to share.
Okay. Before I used to be connected to a higher level conscious, and for some reason I'm disconnected.
No, you are not.
So why I'm not
No, you are not.
why I'm not listening to the voice?
Because things change, as we said. And as you change, become a different person, then the connections you have sometimes have to be expressed in different ways. You're making an assumption that you're disconnected.
Sarah, what I've discovered is I am a knowledge giver, and also I help prepare other people. That's my kind of role in life.
And so you're experiencing the idea of disconnection, but that's only because you made an assumption that you were disconnecting just because something changed. Don't give it a negative meaning, and you won't experience it in a negative way. Understand that things change. Go with the flow. Look for the way in which the connection now expresses itself differently now that you are a different person. Things will never stay the same. Remember, it's the fifth law. Everything changes. Yes?
Yes.
So never make the assumption that something has gone wrong. Otherwise, that's the only way you can experience it. Assume that something has simply changed in a different form because you have changed. Look for the different form and
He's not
flow
wrong.
with it. That's what allows you to start investigating and discovering more of yourself. The change is acting like a carrot to lure you. Oh, what happened? What happened? Something has changed. Something is different. I must now go searching for what that difference is. And thus, the change lures you into discovering more of your true being.
Wow, that's
You're never disconnected. You can't be disconnected. If you actually were disconnected, you wouldn't exist. So, you can never be disconnected. It's just that the expression,
If you go by A Course in Miracles, even Bashar says this on numerous occasions. We are all the student, but we are also all the teachers simultaneously.
format, the presentation changes. Go with the flow. All right?
okay. Because before I used to go to the higher level of conscious so easy, and now it takes me like more time. It takes me, I have to spend more.
Then maybe you need to be expressing the energy some other way. That's what we're saying. Do something different
Absolutely.
with the energy. May I ask you a question?
John,
Sure.
absolutely.
Thank
the carrot
you.
is way better.
Are you acting to the best of your ability every single moment that you can on your highest excitement in life? Yes
It gets
or no?
you to go down the
No.
path.
Thank you for your honesty. Then that's where you need to apply the information and energy you've already received. Because why should you receive more if you haven't used what you've already been given? Yes?
Yes, yes.
Don't just keep going back to the well over and over again when your cup is already full. Drink what you've been given, then empty your cup, then you can go back to the well. Yes?
Also, quit fighting yourself. Your higher self isn't immune to the things you're going through. It actually wants you to grow and prosper. It's your physical mind is the thing that actually limits you from being able to like experience more in life. Or the negative ego, I should say, is the thing that's stopping you from experiencing more in life.
Yes.
Make sense?
Yes.
All right. Well, what's
Completely.
holding you back from acting on your highest excitement?
Fear,
Of
judgment
judgment from others?
for my family.
From your family?
Yeah.
What have they got to do with your life?
I stepped away from my family for this exact reason.
Yeah, that's
I am not saying that you cannot respect them. I am not saying that you cannot respect their point of view. But it's up to you to decide, whatever it is, whatever point of view they share with you as to what is relevant for you and not relevant for you. Because remember, they have their own lives, you have your own life. Yes, of course you can.
Sarah, challenges don't have to be negative. And I think you know this. And thank you for sharing.
Reflect things to one another. Yes, you can act as guides for one another, but it's
I will say this much. So, challenges are representative of themes that you chose to play out in this lifetime. And here's something else to keep in mind with a lot of if you're drawn to Bashar and Esasani and a lot of UFOs or aliens or all this kind of information, you have a counterpart inside of the Sasani civilization. You're just resonating with him because he connects you to that aspect of your greater being.
It's still, bottom line, up to you to decide what's true for you. So, they are not you, you are unique. They can never know exactly what you're experiencing, even though they say they might know. So you can take time to say, all right, well, let's hear what you have to say, and I'll decide whether what you have to say is something I can apply in my life in the way I prefer to, or whether I need.
There's a reason that you actually connect to him in his information. It's because you have a counterpart in the Sasani civilization. Just like I do, and just like most people who listen to him do.
To do something a little bit different. Yes?
Yes.
You have no business comparing yourself to anyone else because it's not possible to compare yourself to anyone else. You are unique.
yes.
Make sense?
Yeah, yes, makes sense.
All right, so I know this sounds a little bit funny in your language, but really, the strongest way you can express compassion in your life for yourself and for others.
A lot of times I find that people project their negative beliefs or the negative aspects on that they believe onto him. He's not negative, and fundamentally he's just trying to share information with people.
On a certain level is to not care what other people think of you.
Okay.
Yes?
Yes.
Because you are you. They're not living your life, you are. Yes?
Yes.
All right, well, you're also, if I may add, by not being your full self, you're depriving your family of an opportunity to see who you actually are.
Okay.
Why would you take away from...
I'll say this about movies and alien representations inside of movies. They are negative portrayals and our own fears about what they would potentially do to us, because that's what we've done to indigenous cultures. It's our own fears coming out and being projected onto them. The ones like Bashar or the Federation of Light, that's not what they're here to do. They're not here to enslave us.
From them the gift of your true being? Why would you deprive the world of the gift you have to give by not being who you truly are? There are people waiting to share things with you, but they can't find you because you're not being the full you.
Oh my God, that's true.
I know, that's why I said it. So, in order to really be bold in life, decide what works for you, decide what does...
Sarah, so in what way do you feel like it's hard to explain? If you give it a really simple explanation, it could actually be pretty easy to share.
Does not work for you, and move forward. Yes?
Okay, yes, I will do it.
All right, not because we said so,
No,
because
I will.
that's what you really prefer. Yes?
Yes.
All right. There is absolutely, absolutely no circumstance and no situation in life that is inherently difficult. Only your definitions of that situation and your relationship to it make it feel difficult. So change your definition, and the way you experience any situation will also change. Yes?
Yes.
I've been doing
Makes
this a lot
sense?
lately.
Yes.
Yeah.
Does this help you?
I feel
Yes.
Do you
amazing the
believe you
last
can
few
go
weeks.
forward in your life in the way that you
Oh,
prefer to now?
Yes, I will.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
One question.
Yes.
Before being from another dimension used to come and talk to me. So if I apply all this, are they going to come back?
Say that again.
Some beings, like live beings, used to come from another
Yes.
dimension and talk
Will
to
they
me.
come back if
Yeah.
you change?
Yeah.
Possibly. But who cares?
Sarah, that sounds fantastic, and it sounds like they're doing the job that they're there to do.
Because if you're going in the direction of what you prefer, if you're living your life to the fullest, what difference does it make how you're...
Well, to be fair, John, Daryl is from LA, so it makes a lot of sense that he'd had that vibe.
life unfolds, because every unfoldment will still be exactly what it needs to be. So don't insist on the form it must come in. Remember,
he's a teacher.
The formula of excitement: act on your highest excitement to the best of your ability.
He's also said this numerous times. He's actually not that important, and he's actually kind of working to put himself out of a job. He's trying to get us to be ourselves so we can actually interact with them.
With zero insistence on how things should look.
Okay.
Just know that you will be given what you need. That's all. Who cares where it comes from if it feels correct? Yes?
Yes.
All right. And remember, you have guides, you all have guides, but the guide's first duty is to remind you that you are your own best guide.
So I want to actually comment on the accent thing. Bashar used to have a very thick accent when he would come through Daryl. And like a lot of other channels, what happens, especially when they first start out in channeling, is that the energy coming through them is so foreign that the way their brain actually translates it in when they're speaking is a foreign accent. That's why, as the years go on, they actually drop the accent because it becomes so familiar to them that it becomes closer to their actual personality. I mean, you see this in Abraham Hicks and a lot of other channels.
So don't rely on the advice of others, not even us. Rely on your own internal guidance, because you know who you are when you just stop and allow yourself to know who you are, and you will know what to do to be yourself. That's all it takes. So don't worry or wonder whether something is going to come back or whether it's going to happen in a certain way. If it does, then that's what was relevant for you. If it doesn't happen that way, then it wasn't relevant. So if it's not relevant, why would you want it?
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yes.
All right, thank you. You see how simple this is when you apply logic?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. That's true.
Does that help you?
Yes.
Then thank you very much.
No, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Nice. Well, that's essentially what you do when you're actually writing poetry. It's about being in that flow.
Hello, Bashar.
And you good day.
2 days ago,
Speak up.
I had I saw a UFO-like balloon, metallic
Yes.
figure when I was
All right, how exciting.
outside of Palm Springs.
Yes.
What was it about?
Let me ask you a question. May I?
Sure.
There is
We're all at our own different frequency. We're all our own different vibe. Thinking that you're better than someone else because of that one fact is more or less an ego trap. Your vibration as well as your frequency will fluctuate throughout your day and also throughout your life.
There's an airport somewhere nearby you. There are planes taking off from it right now.
Yes.
What are those planes all about?
Carrying passengers
Yes, to where?
everywhere.
Yes. So, why do you think my answer would be different?
No, I was curious about where that spaceship was from, or was it a spaceship?
Yes.
From which?
Where is the plane that's taking off
You
from?
are.
Pardon me?
Where is the plane that's taking off right now? Where is that plane from? Where's it going? The plane that's taking off right now.
Right.
Where's it going? Where's it from?
I don't know.
Exactly.
I love this answer. I've heard him give a bunch of times. And he still gives the same one, but gets this question a lot less from people. He's like, I don't know. There's beans all over the place. They're going all over the place. I have no idea.
In other words, if it is relevant for us to know, we will know. But we don't keep track of every single traveler. You
It's okay. I was just trying to point out something. Like, it's easy to let your ego get away from you.
understand that you are a hub. There
No
are
judgment.
thousands of ships coming and going, passing by, for a variety of reasons. There are Pleiadian ships, there are hybrid ships, there are a variety of ships. There are Ethasani ships, there are Yael ships. They are doing different things for different reasons at different times. Sometimes they are
Hypersapien
observing,
ships,
sometimes they're taking
Lyran,
readings, sometimes they're just
A
passing
myriad of
through.
other races.
We don't keep track of every single coming and going.
Okay, so I understand that your ship is above Sedona.
At this moment, yes.
What about any alien ships above the island of Japan?
Of Japan,
Yes.
yes. We ourselves have a ship there, and other civilizations have ships that are above that area on your planet as well.
And what are their roles?
What?
What are their roles?
Mostly to balance energy on your planet, to aid and assist you in stabilizing the energy so that you can work with the energy more easily and transform the planet in the way that you prefer to.
Okay, the question I'm asking is because I'm from that island, and
Speak up.
I'll be back in Japan in about a month or so.
Yes, and so,
Is there any suggestions for me,
for what?
particular to do, to work on?
Act on your
energetic-
highest excitement.
Okay.
Did we not explain that?
Yes.
Did you think it was going to be more different than that?
Yes and no.
You want us to tell us what in that sense?
So here's something you can do when it comes to trying to figure out what your connections are that you have counterparts in other civilizations. Which ones do you feel the most drawn to? I've always felt drawn to the Sasani, but I don't feel... I know about the Yaya, but I don't really feel drawn to them specifically. I feel drawn to the Anunnaki, the Palladians, Lyrans, and a lot of other races, and then there's other ones I have no connection whatsoever to that just feel very foreign to me.
That your
More
life is all
specifically?
about?
Yes, specifically.
Why?
And also, you don't have to be you don't have to be here in the States, or you don't have to be in Denmark, or location is irrelevant. You can, if you look around, you can actually ask, like if you get a chance to do a session with him, he's a pretty good one to actually ask, as well as there's other channelers or people that can tell you about your connections to your parallel reality counterparts. You just got to look a little bit.
Why should we tell you what your life is about?
Well, why not?
Because it's your life.
Okay.
Oh, you want us to
There's
open all
probably
your
a
presents
connection there,
for
John.
you. You want us to spill the beans. You want us to let the cat out of the bag so that your life will become a dull, joyless experience with no surprises in it. Is that what you're saying?
Not really.
Not really. But you want us to give you a hint.
Yes.
Oh, all right. What is, at this point in your life, one of the main expressions of your excitement?
Also, going off connections, Tyler Ellison, I played a couple of clips of his at the beginning of this stream. I'll put a link in the description. 1 second. Just 1 second. Let me grab his YouTube channel.
Traveling.
Traveling. What do you get out of it? What do you learn from that?
Get in touch with nature.
Get in touch with nature. Why is that exciting for you?
Because it's a reflection of myself.
Well, everything is, but why that specifically?
Become.
You want us to be specific?
Yes.
You need to be specific. Why that specifically?
Because I think
Yes?
nature is. When I see nature, I see. the
That's his
purity,
YouTube
more
channel.
Purity or
Purity. All right.
my whole self.
Is that something you would like to share with other people?
Yes.
Is that something you do share with other people? Mm-hmm. How many?
He's also
How
a
many?
Sasani.
Yes, how many
being,
other people do you share that with?
or Eshakani.
Through social networks.
Through social
And
networks.
friends.
How do you share nature through social networks?
Through images. Through words.
Through
Communications.
words? You mean you don't actually go with them out into nature?
Some.
Some. Would you
But
like to
most
do
of
that
them,
more?
But most of them,
Would you like to do that more?
yes.
Then why don't you?
No problem.
Okay. So that I guess that's the hint.
Hint, hint.
Okay.
Why not be a nature guide for people and help them, help people who otherwise might not have the ability, have the opportunity to experience the beauty of nature? Why not do something to give them an opportunity to experience nature if it excites you so much?
Okay. Thank you. And last question would be, you talked about the splitting prisms.
Yes.
Beyond 2012.
Yes.
And the railroad tracks.
Yes.
So can you give me?
So think about what happened in 2016 as well as 2020, and then what's happening right now. You're starting to see people split off. The splitting prism is happening constantly, anyways. But we're starting to see the tracks go further and further apart. We're still seeing certain people in our reality, and they're starting to diverge off further and further away, so we don't see them anymore.
Like a hint or a
You like
synchronicity?
hints, don't
Yes.
you?
Or keywords for the next 3 to 6 months.
Well, the tracks are getting farther apart. Are you on the train you want to be on? Because it's going to be more difficult to jump from one train to another when the tracks start widening. Yes? No?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Don't sound so confident. Now, the only thing we will share with you at this time is what has already been shared, and that is, and we're not saying exactly what this means at this point, except to say it touches on many different things, and that is, in the fall of your year of 2016, everything changes.
I feel the fall of 2016 was a very big year as far as getting, once everything started around that time personally, I think was a very big split in the whole prison part of things.
That's the biggest hint we can give you. All right?
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, listen to you all buzzing.
Hello, Bashar.
And you, good day.
Hi, thank you for inviting me over here. Thank you for inviting me over here to speak to you.
You invited yourself. Thank you.
Well, here we go. I have a question.
Yes.
This is about my personal experience.
Yes. What personal experience?
It was about, I was 18.
Yes.
And then
This did happen to you, yes?
no, it was just 5 minutes.
Is it something that happened to you?
Yes, it was happening to me.
All right, so what was it?
It was, I was performing piano in
Yes.
front of people. I
Yes.
was overwhelmed, I was excited, and then also very nervous. It was my first recital.
Oh, all right, how exciting.
And
He's a good
then,
kid.
This piece I was playing, it was a short piece, 5 minutes.
Yes.
I felt the piece I was playing, I could see like the structure rather than
Yes.
the piece of music I have to
Leroy.
spend
Yes, yes,
5
yes.
minutes.
Yes.
Then
Does this
it's-
puzzle you?
Yes, because I was very young, unexperienced. I wasn't so sure what was it.
Well, does it puzzle you now?
I'm guessing.
You don't
that-
understand that every single one of you have the ability to get into a channeling state? It's a natural altered state.
So what's that? The channeling you'd say? Because I was wondering.
Everyone has the ability to get into a channeling state. It's a natural state that you get in when you're doing.
Yes, and your personality, the thing you think you are, is also just a channeled being that's coming through. It's kind of like the personality that's coming through Dale right now of Bashar. It's a mix of the personality of the actual being that we call Bashar and Daryl himself. We're all channeling constantly.
Doing what you love to do, when you're going with the flow, when you're experiencing alignment, when you say you're in the zone, when you're experiencing peak performance. That's a channeling state. And when you get into that state, you have the ability to experience expanded sensory awareness. And you see things and experience things on a multitude of interdimensional levels. It's a natural result of expanding your awareness by being in the flow and in alignment with your true self. That's what you experienced.
So you are saying I saw the higher dimension.
Yes.
Just that 5 minutes.
This is the natural symptomatic result of the expansion of consciousness, and more of you, as you expand your consciousness, are going to find that your senses are capable of experiencing things that heretofore were invisible. You're going to start having senses that penetrate beyond space and time into other dimensions. This is one of the symptoms of transforming from third to fourth density. It's a natural thing that more of you are going to experience. Flexibility in space and time, malleability, things not being so solid, all sorts of synchronicity and magical, miraculous.
Yes. Seth was also, I believe, actually from the Sirius collective consciousness.
Things appearing, energy, colors, structures you've never seen before, communication with other beings from other levels.
Also, this is very, very true. The more I've been able to unlock and the more I understand, I am experiencing more of the aspect of who I am in other incarnations or counterparts. What gifts have carried over to me from those incarnations. Your life is kind of amazing if you really get down to it.
Levels. These are all the natural results of expanding your consciousness in fourth density physical reality. So this is your way of knowing that when you were aligned in that energy, because you remember how that felt, yes?
I still remember.
Yes, all right. Well, understand this. This is very important. Pay attention. All you have to do, and here's the paradox, all you have to do is remember that experience and that feeling, and as soon as you remember it, you're automatically in the...
No, Sirius from the Sirius star system. There's a planet, an aquatic planet around Sirius B called Os. They contacted the Dogon tribe in Africa thousands of years ago, and they've still continued on, but the beings that contacted them were actually what we call Seth is actually the non-physical aspect of the collective consciousness of the Sirius star system that actually exists on one of their stars.
Same state. And that's the state to come from in doing everything else in your life. That's your key vibrational state. Now, here's even more the paradox about this. Because remember, we have always said you cannot experience what you're not the vibration of first. So the idea...
Well, there are actual aspects of beings from other planets that have, we'll just say, been able to travel here to Earth. And mermaids did used to exist here on Earth, but they now only exist in a parallel reality that, and sometimes exist and come into our reality.
Of using the memory to get back in the state is actually backwards from what's happening. You actually have to be in the state to actually have the memory of having been there before. So as soon as you go, oh, I remember that, you don't have to do anything else to get back in that state. You're actually in the state the moment you have the memory, because you have to be in the state to have the memory of the state. Therefore, even though it may feel a little bit different than it did when you were actually in it before,
RC,
it
that
is
is
the
so
same
true.
state, but it's altered for who
Yes,
you are now
Atlanteans.
and what you're experiencing now. But that's the state. That's your signature core frequency. So anything you do in life,
especially during the second version of the Atlantean Empire, the one that we know of is the third one, but during the second or the highest level of technology that the Atlanteans had, they actually did start splicing things like animal DNA into humans and creating hybrids.
in following your excitement, come from that state. Be in that state when you take action, and then things will be done very clearly and in alignment.
I have a question. So you said I should...
I didn't say you should do anything.
Okay, so I would, if I would like to be there, just
Yes.
remember that and being
Yes.
there. So what about this process to get there? I was very nervous, I was scared. Can I just skip that part and being there easily without being a little
You
too...
can,
Oh, okay, that's good.
to a degree.
That's good.
To a degree. Let me put it this way. Remember that there is nothing negative about process. Process is the point of why you have a life. You want to experience, to some degree, the process of discovery. That's what it's all about. Unless you forget who you are and go through the process of remembering, you can't discover yourself from a new perspective. That's why you created the experience of space and time. So, you will go through some process because process is the point. The journey is the destination. That's the point of your life, is to go through a process of self-discovery. However, you don't have to associate the idea of process with negativity. And you don't have to assume that you're not spiritual if you're still going through a process. It's just a different kind of process. When you finally cross the threshold in your process where you have let go of all the things that happen to be negative or out of alignment with who you prefer to be, you can still experience the idea of process, but
Yeah, when their main island chain and their continent actually sank, they spread out to a lot of places and had different caches of information that was spread throughout the world. One of them was actually in Qumran in Israel, and that's where Yeshua or Jesus was actually instructed at one of the places where they had information stored, as well as Egypt, Tibet. A lot of the information actually went to Ohio area. The Atlanteans actually left behind a lot of stuff. They're the ones who actually built the pyramids in the first place and lifted the rocks that were like 100,000 tons. They also worked a lot with Sirius beings, like what we have now. Or think of the dolphins. They actually came originally from Sirius, and when the dolphins were created here on Earth, they transferred their consciousness, and that's actually the form they take here on Earth.
But you'll only experience exactly the amount of process you still know you need in order to appreciate the discoveries you make, and you will experience the idea of process in a slightly different way. No longer will it be an issue of letting go of negativity. It will now, once you cross the threshold into positive energy, be a process of letting go of what is simply no longer relevant for you. You understand?
Yes.
That's the difference. So there is nothing wrong with process. You want the process, or you can't have an experience of self-discovery. But you can reduce the process to whatever is minimally necessary for you to have the fullest appreciation of the discovery that you make in that process. And remember, we did give you another tool long time ago called the threshold of believability. That is a very powerful permission slip tool for reducing the amount of process or the amount of time things can take. You want us to remind you of that tool?
Sure.
All right. Threshold of believability is this. If you have something in mind, a picture in mind that represents an ideal state of something, then allow yourself the opportunity to create a kind of a time scale.
Do this.
And say, all right,
Do this.
here is this thing that I would prefer to manifest. I'm very excited about the manifestation, the experiencing of this ideal circumstance or situation. Now,
Yes.
starting at a time you believe is way more than enough time to manifest it, you start there and go, do I believe, without a moment's hesitation, yes or no, that 20 years is more than enough time to manifest this? Yes.
I have used this on many occasions, this one thing, and sometimes you do it internally without realizing it, and it becomes just kind of a reflex of like, okay, now I can do this now, and I can only stay until 3 with this. If you want to watch the rest of it, I'll do another stream to finish it out, but I can only stay until 3 today.
20 years, no problem. I can see that without a hitch. Do you believe that 15 years is more than enough time for that manifestation to occur? 15 years, that's a long time. Yes, absolutely. I have no problem believing it can manifest before 15 years. Do you believe 10 years is enough? Yes, no problem. Do you believe 5 years is enough? Absolutely, no problem. Do you believe 3 years is enough? Maybe. As soon as you hesitate even for a second to say, yes, absolutely, no problem, that's how long it will take with your present belief system. And then you can say, all right, what would I have to believe is true in order for it to take that amount of time to manifest? Find out what that belief is, identify it, integrate it, let it go, take the test again. Do I believe 10 years? No problem. Do I believe 5 years is enough time? Yes, absolutely. 3 years? Yes. Now with my new belief?
I feel like, John, a lot of times when people watch Bashar stuff, you're watching it on your own and you don't necessarily have other people to kind of share with or discuss the information that he is putting out there. So it can be kind of lonely when you're like, I believe in this thing, but I don't have anyone to share with. So that's kind of what I want to do with this channel, is create a way for people to connect and also be able to share the information with others that see the world in a similar point of view. So we know that we're not alone, and we know that we can connect to everyone around us, that we are connected as a family.
Belief system, absolutely not a problem. 2 years, yes. 1 year, maybe. Keep going down, finding the belief that makes it take that much time until there are no more beliefs. Whatever amount of time is left at that point is the natural amount of time the process needs to take for you to have a full appreciation of the creation of that manifestation. That's how it works. It's that simple. Does that help?
Yes.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I want to share with you guys what I believe, but I also want to hear from you in the comments or in comments. Make sure you like and subscribe, share. But I want to actually bring the community together of people who have listened to what he has shared and have their own stories to share. And I want to kind of bring together as a community, as people who have counterparts in the Sasani civilization. And by the way, a good majority of the Sasani people themselves are actually incarnated here on the planet currently. And if you are drawn to this information and you're drawn to this channels or any other one, we are all connected.
But please remember this.
So what I've been doing 3 years ago, before the pandemic, I had the threshold. I had a fear belief saying I couldn't be a massage therapist because I did it when I was young, but then I left it because I wasn't making a living at it. And as I worked through the negative beliefs, the amount of time it took me to make a living as a massage therapist and approach that as the way I wanted to move forward with my income, it grew. That's what I've been doing for a living in the last 3 years. It went from being like 5 years to be able to make a living as a massage therapist full time to a month. Like during the pandemic, that's all I've done. I actually kind of burned myself out because I absolutely love my job. I love helping people. But I did a little too much, and now I'm kind of taking a break for the time being because I want to actually kind of focus on some more creative projects and do a few other things.
2 important factors. Number 1, the definition of manifestation is not bringing something you don't have. It's making visible what's already here by matching its frequency. You already have everything you need, you just don't know it yet because you can't see it because you're not the wavelength of it yet. It's important to understand that that's a very important distinction in the idea and the definition of manifestation. Number 2, many people on your planet use this concept of visualization to manifest things, and that's all well and good as a permission slip, but many of you are not using visualization in the most powerful way you could be. If you have a visualization of what you believe is the ideal reality, that's all well and good, but that visualization, that picture of seeing yourself in that ideal reality, number 1, needs to be seeing yourself after the fact of that reality happening, because you know that once something has already happened, that's a very different energy than waiting for it to happen, isn't it? So have the energy that it's already happened, you're already living it, it's already there, and feel and see yourself in that visualization already living that, and feel how exciting that is to you. As soon as you reach the peak of excitement in seeing that visualization, utterly, totally, absolutely drop the picture.
And when I dropped the picture, I ended up becoming, like, I had no idea what path I wanted to go, but I had little things that actually kept drawing me down to become an expert at certain aspects of working on people. The work I do as a massage therapist is very, very specialized. And because I followed the breadcrumbs, I was able to actually, and I let the vision that I had go, I was able to actually do some really cool things because I wasn't so much stuck, and I didn't have the insistence that it had to look a certain way.
Don't insist on it looking anything like the picture. The only purpose for the picture that your physical mind created was to get you into the state of excitement that's equivalent to whatever the manifestation actually needs to be. Now, sometimes it might coincidentally look very similar to the picture you had, but more often than not, it will look nothing like it. In fact, it will actually look many times better than you imagine. So if you understand that that visualization is just a symbol of the reality, a symbol of the manifestation, and you just let the energy stand and drop the picture, then the higher mind can actually take that
so freaking
spot
well
that you just created, that vacuum you just created, and fill it with the picture, with the reality, with the experience that actually is representative of the state of excitement that the picture helped you generate. That's how you use visualization. Because the idea is, and the reason this works, is because your physical mind has no idea how something actually might happen. It's not built to know how something might actually happen. And what it thinks of as the absolute pinnacle of existence from the higher mind's perspective might be just the beginning, and it could actually give you something many times greater than you were capable of imagining with the physical mind. So if you understand that the visualization that your physical mind is capable of generating is actually a limitation on how magnificently the manifestation could happen, you would drop it like a hot potato. Because you don't want to limit the way it could happen if you know it could happen many times more powerfully. Would you? No. So don't think that you have to maintain that particular image. Just let it generate the excitement. Hand the excitement over to your higher mind. Let the higher mind bring you whatever it needs to bring you, and always assume that the next thing that happens is part of your excitement, part of the path of leading you to everything you need to be led to. Give it a positive meaning, and you will see that it will happen.
So if you're giving things a negative meaning, you'll also experience it that way. Because all that is actually very unconditionally loving. So whatever way you decide to define it, that's the way you're going to experience it.
Have a beneficial and positive effect. That's how it works. Does that help you? Yes? No? Maybe? Yes. All right. Well, thank you.
Hi, Bashar.
Andrew, you good day.
Actually, listening to you talk to the others in front of me,
Speak up, speak up.
listening to you answering the other people that spoke before me,
Yes.
pretty much answered a lot of my questions.
How synchronous of you.
And I just want to know how I can further manifest at the higher level as you spoke.
So it didn't answer all your
Yeah.
questions. Are you already?
So I'm gonna actually comment on what John says in the chat. The Nephilim were actually the Atlanteans that survived. Many of them were humongous, like they were. So it's just a reference to they had a particularly strong amount of Anunnaki DNA. That's why they were like 8-9 feet tall on average. Like, there's stories from all over the world of these giant people constructing giant earthen mounds or pyramids everywhere that they went. Like, what we think of as Aztec was actually built by the survivors of Atlantis, and they just bred into the local populations, whether it was in Central America, North America, Europe, South America, or even into Africa, where different colonies that existed after the deluge or the flood at the end of the Younger Dryas.
Forgetting the formula we gave you at the beginning of this transmission?
I've been using it.
Then what else do you believe you need?
More tools.
More tools? You want to complicate your life? not simplify it then. Yes?
I want it simple.
I beg your pardon?
I want it simple
You want it simple. Then why are you asking for more tools?
because it seems I need.
The permission slips that work the best for me are, what would I have to believe is true in order to think the way I do, or what would I have to believe is true in order to take me down this certain path. It's really looking at your beliefs and deciding that you want to actually follow the path forward, or why are you experiencing things the way you are. The threshold of believability, the one he just talked about. Really simplifying things. For me, sharing this information in this way is actually something that excites me. Really integrating the idea of following your excitement in a positive way rather than a negative way is one of those things that I've integrated into my life. Like doing this, what I'm doing with you right now, this is something that excites me to actually share the information I've gathered over the years. A lot of times he repeats himself over and over and over again. And it takes the repetition to really kind of learn and get through your head. As a human, that's kind of what we need to do.
More than manifesting it to happen.
Why does it seem that way? And what is it you expect to happen?
John, I'm going to actually have to look that
Changes?
book up, and I'll
Changes
I'll
aren't
check it out
happening?
for myself.
You just
There-
changed billions of times in the last few seconds.
There has been good changes, but I just need to be more.
Here's one tool. You are always changing, but you don't believe you are.
This understanding is
When you
important to know.
understand how thoroughly you're changing every moment and actually buy into how thoroughly you become a different person every moment, you will experience what it is you need to experience that is relevant for the change you now know has actually happened. You're always changing. You can't help but change. You change literally billions of times per second. When you understand that, it's not about how do I learn to change, it's about what do you want to define the next change to be? Who do you want to define yourself to be as the next person? And you will have the reality of the person you define yourself to be at that moment. So you need to wrap your mind around the fact that you're actually always changing and you can't help yourself. So it's not about learning.
Well, for me, when I first started out with manifestation, they would take weeks and months to show up. As I've relaxed into how things actually manifest and gotten rid of old definition and outdated ways of viewing the world, I've actually had things manifest and show up in my life literally in minutes to about 3 days is about as long as it takes for, if something's really there for me to actually have in my life. That's about generally the time frame from a few minutes to about 3 days is the length of time it takes for me for things to actually manifest into my life at this point.
Learning to change you or anything else. Everything changes all the time. It's about being in the frequency that is representative of the stream of changes you prefer to experience so that you only experience
This is important.
those. At the same time, please remember, are you paying attention?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Listening very carefully?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
All right. At the same time, remember, all of you, the measure of change is not when the outside changes. The measure of change is that you respond differently to the outside, even if it still looks the same. That's...
So just to comment on what he just said, I have, in the last 2 weeks, been doing this thing called coherence healing. It's from a guy down in New Zealand. His name is Cornelius Christopher. If you get a chance to read his book is really intense, but it can illustrate how someone can go from being in a suicidal state and you're about to kill yourself, to being able to have a life where all that past trauma is gone. If you ever get a chance to, and I'm going to probably do a session day where it's coherence healing and A Course in Miracles and other stuff, and just kind of work through together. The thing that coherence healing does, and I can tell you because I've been experiencing it the last 2 weeks, is all that anger and all those things I was holding on to for the last 39 years are just gone, and I feel incredible right now. And that's actually what got me to get up and do it today, because I don't feel that anger and that hate and that suffering that I felt beforehand, because it's not there anymore. So watch out for healing streams. And also, I want to do a stream where we just kind of share our stories and help connect with other people who have parallel incarnations in the Essassani civilization, as well as if you feel drawn here or you feel drawn to any other time to just kind of hang out and we can talk. His book is called 1-0.
That's how you prove you've actually changed. Because if you've really changed, if you're really in alignment with the vibration you prefer to be, you couldn't care less what the outside looks like or what happens out there.
Thank you, John.
And as soon as you actually stop caring whether the outside changes to match the things you prefer, then because that's a true change, the outside will have no choice but to change to reflect it. But as long as you make the change within you conditional on the outside having to change to reflect it, that means you haven't changed, and therefore the outside never will. It's like saying I'm looking in a mirror and I'm seeing my reflection frown. Well, I'm going to stand here and I'm going to wait, and I'm not going to smile until that reflection smiles first. You'll be standing there forever.
And because I've made this change over the last 2 weeks and just got rid of all the internal junk, I'm able to smile. Like, I woke up today in such an incredible mood, and I decided to actually get on and do this stream today.
But when you decide, oh, heck with this, I don't care if the reflection smiles, I'm going to smile because that's what I prefer to do. Then suddenly you look at the reflection and go, oh, the reflection is smiling. How magical, what a coincidence. But the idea is you have to not care that it is going to smile back. Just let it be the mirror that it is, and change within yourself because that's what you prefer, regardless of whether the mirror changes or whether it's even there. That's the secret to manifestation. Do you understand?
Yes.
Does this help?
It does. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Is that enough tools for now? We're always happy to bog you down with more tools if you really want it. But it is our preference that you understand that you will gain more benefit by streamlining yourself and dropping the tools.
The tools are there as training wheels. As you expand into more of yourself, you actually don't need the tools like you do when you're first starting out. They're there just to teach you to get into a state. That's all.
And just being your own permission slip. And just giving yourself permission to be who you know you are. It's that simple.
Hello, brother.
And to you, good day.
A little nervous. The whole ride over here, I was thinking to myself.
You must speak up clearly.
The whole ride over here, I was thinking to myself, man, I'm gonna get picked. What am I gonna ask? And the whole time, what is my question? What is my question? And I got picked. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
Well, then what's your question?
Well, there really is no question.
Exactly. And that's a good answer.
And
is it not more to your wish that you know the answers rather than getting lost in questions?
Yes, exactly.
Well, there you go. You've got your answer. You
Yep.
have taken the little bent over question mark and you have straightened it out into an exclamation point.
Yes.
Remember, all of you, that any time you come up with a question, the only reason you can even conceive of that question is the answer must reside somewhere within you too. Or you've never been able to think of the question?
It's just changing slightly the resonance that you're at that changes it from being the question to having the answer be right outside of you. Sometimes you do need to hear it as a externalized process, but generally speaking, the answer usually is inside of you, whether it's healing or a lot of other things, if you're really, really honest with yourself.
Yes.
Two sides of the same coin.
Right.
Answer, question, question, answer.
Right.
Yes, so, anything else you would like to share?
Yes. Maybe you can guide me a little bit if my thinking is off.
Maybe.
But I was thinking,
YouTube, man.
why you always
YouTube.
say to follow
That's how I
your
found
highest
Bashar in the first place.
excitement and joy.
Yes,
The universe just kind of kept pushing him at me, because I've been listening to like Abraham Hicks and a few other channelers. But when I found Bashar, it was like something about him was like, I think it this way, but I'm too afraid to say it. And now I've been listening to him for like a good almost 13 years now.
Explain that.
Yeah, you did, but I was kind of ignoring you and thinking.
Oh, all right. Then perhaps we'll return the favor.
Well, hopefully, because that's how I got my answer. You know, I was kind of got out of my own way.
Exactly.
And I was thinking, well, that is, you're supposed to follow your, not supposed to, but
It's the idea of recognizing your true vibration.
Right.
It's your body's translation of the frequency of your true core being. That's why. Because that means when you act on it, you're in alignment with yourself. It's the compass needle pointing to your magnetic north. At the same time, yes, the idea of simply going into whatever state you went in to give yourself the opportunity to answer it for yourself is exactly the point. And
RC, I will say this much, and John, and whoever else wants to jump in. The time it took for me to get to where I am is not that important. I want to actually share the information. I want to also share my understanding with and create a community for people who listen to Bashar, as well as people who want to actually put it into practice what he teaches.
And remember, all of you, that in these dialogues that you're having with us, you're actually only talking to your own higher self anyway. You're just using us as a mask to give yourself permission to let it be all right to do so. We are happy to function as that reflective mask. And it doesn't mean we're not our own reality and not our own autonomous being, but what you're speaking with right now is your own higher mind. Because you're creating this in your reality out of your own consciousness. So anything you are hearing us say to you, you're saying to yourself.
Yes.
All right. Anything else?
I guess there is, but it would kind of contradict what I'm just saying.
That's all right.
Because
even a contradiction, even a polarity, you know, has to issue from the same central source. So all you're doing, again, is simply seeing the other side of the same coin. Okay. So what's the so-called contradiction?
I'm really fascinated with the idea of being a breatharian.
Yes.
And I was wondering if you can give me a permission slip or a boost to get further.
If it's not relevant for you to experience something, you're not going to experience it.
In that destination or path?
All right. Well, I can easily suggest that if you stop eating and stop drinking,
yes,
you'll know very quickly whether you are at the stage to be a breatharian or not.
Right.
It's that simple.
Yeah. But
trust how your life
Thank you very
unfolds. Much. If something like that is truly relevant for you, you're going to automatically attract through synchronicity all the information you need to allow you to create that experience. If you don't attract it, it's not relevant for you. It's that simple. When we said excitement functions as a complete kit, we really mean complete. The definition of complete is it leaves nothing out that is relevant for you. So if being a breatharian is something that you're actually going to experience in this particular life, then just living your excitement to the best of your ability is going to bring that about.
I don't know about you, but I love food. I love the way it tastes. I love the way it feels as I'm chewing on it. Just the experience. Like, breatharian's great, but I've heard Abraham Hicks and other channelers and other non-physical beings when they're asked the question, what would you do if you were in a physical body right now? And a lot of times they say, I would have sex, I would eat a good meal, I would go have fun. And because there's a lot of things you can't experience when you're in non-physicality that you can experience when you're experiencing this level of restriction. Because restriction itself is not inherently bad thing. Like, it's the way you define it, just like anything else.
Somehow. If it doesn't bring it about, you didn't need it. It's that simple.
A good steak, oh yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
All right. So it's up to you. It's like when people come and say, well, I think I'm done with this life. I think I ought to leave. Well, lie down on the floor, close your eyes, count to 10, say, I'm ready to leave. If you can open your eyes, you're not ready to leave. Because if you're really ready to leave, you would have left.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Yes.
Let it be obvious. That's what we're saying. Let your life unfold in a way that's obvious to you. It doesn't have to be mysterious on all these levels. Yes, it's a great mystery. That's a wonderful thing to explore. But these things don't have to be mysterious. Let it be self-evident. And many things will answer themselves. If you're attracted to the idea, you don't know why you're actually attracted to the idea of being a breatharian. Remember that just because something excites you, just because something lures you like a carrot in a certain direction, does not mean that thing itself has to come to fruition.
It's just the thing to get you in going a particular direction.
It may only need to lure you in a certain direction just to get you, well, off your butt. Many times excitement does that because it knows that's the thing that will get you to move. That's why it's so important to remember the third part of the formula. Act on your excitement to the best of your ability with zero assumption as to where it's going to lead or what's going to happen or
and
what
insistence.
needs to come to fruition. Zero! Because you don't know why your excitement is attracting you. The thing, the form that the excitement comes in may not be the thing that actually has to come to fruition. It may just be the thing to get you to the next step.
Yes.
All right, so if you're attracted to the idea
puzzle,
of being a breatharian, if that's true, if that's really the most exciting thing for you, then act on it to the best of your ability. But if you can act on it no further, then get about the business of acting on the next thing until such time as the synchronicity in your life, excitement being the organizing principle, remember, brings you more information in that direction and makes it clear that that's actually something you could physically do. But if it doesn't, then that wasn't the reason you got excited about it. Just follow the thread, and you'll find out why it needed to happen that way. Many times the excitement that appears in your life just appears that way because that's the way your belief system is structured. It needs to see that at that moment in order for you to move in that direction. And that's all there is to it sometimes.
I literally woke up this morning with the undeniable urge to actually do this stream today, and I know there's only a few people watching right now, but I just feel like this is the thing that I need to do. And this is going to be part one. I'll do the other half of the transmission probably in the next day or two. I just wanted to actually show this half of it. We're gonna finish this guy, and then I'm gonna stop the stream.
And that's enough. But that's how it works. Make sense?
Makes a lot of sense.
Does that help?
Yes, I actually wanted just to hear somebody outside of myself say it.
All right. Well, our suggestion would be to breathe easy.
Yep, and he's
and
just talking to himself also.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
I'm going to end this here today. It was great talking to you, RC and John. Make sure you guys come back, and there's going to be more of these kind of sessions. I just wanted to actually put this one up here today. And make sure you comment and share, and I'm going to do more of these streams very quickly because I want to actually create more of a community to actually, so we can sit there and discuss so you don't feel so alone in trying to actually share the information or talk about the information to other people. I am so happy to share what I have. This stream's going to be up on my channel, so if you want to go back and rewatch it, as well as make sure you comment and share and all that good stuff. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next day or so. I have a few things, so I can't come back tomorrow to stream the rest of it, but we will actually finish this in the next day or so. Have a great day.